5 Questions with LeRoy Butler. Now, here's Tom Silverstein.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to 5 Questions with LeRoy Butler. We are in Week 10 of the NFL schedule, and that brings up an AFC opponent, Indianapolis Colts at Indianapolis, the 6-3 Colts.
I don't think we've
I'm
ever
on a roll.
Yeah, have we ever won there? I think they're like.
I know one game you lost there.
It wasn't my fault.
You guys were undefeated, and they were what?
They didn't win a game. I don't think they won a game. Paul Justin was the quarterback.
Yeah.
That was Marvin Harrison coming out party.
But wasn't Lindy Infante the head coach at the time?
Lindy Infante, that's who drafted me. Yes, he was the coach. And I think our number 2 pick in the 89 draft was their left tackle. I think he was there.
Oh, some guy named Mandridge?
Yeah, Tony Mandridge. I think he was there.
I believe you're right.
I think
he might be right there.
I think, but
yeah. So well, that was an infamous loss in Packers history.
Yeah,
and you were part of it.
Well, again, it wasn't my fault.
Anyway, let's move back into the present. That was
right. Get back into 72. Yeah.
So the Packers are coming off less than impressive victory over the Jacksonville Jaguars, another AFC opponent who they don't see very often. And, it's weird to say, but weather was a factor for the Packers, I think. And now they're going into, a domed environment, controlled climate. And I wonder if that's better for them. What do you think?
Well, of course. I mean, you got Aaron Jones, one of the best running backs on that surface, is truly amazing. Devontae Adams doesn't matter what surface. And Aaron Rodgers indoors is just truly phenomenal. If you think about the Atlanta game, the Cowboy games, and, all that kind of stuff. And, of course, the Detroit game. So inside, I think this team is really built for that. But, I think when you look at about matchups and playing these AFC teams, these teams won't, keep you from winning your division because they're in the north, because you play in the north and the NFC, but it will keep you from getting home field throughout when you look at overall records. And I think, you think about the injury situation. If you're a guy like Alan Lazard, who's been out for a long time, this is the perfect surface. Because I will say this, and I'm glad you brought it up, because if for some reason guys slip a lot at Lambeau Field, and that, I think that's something that guys think about. But when you go on the road on that climate control and that real fast surface, you feel good about it.
To me, so the Colts are a pretty good team. They're I said, they're 6-3. They have the number 1 defense in the NFL.
Yeah.
And the Packers are playing on the road. There will be some fans there. To me, this is a test. I don't think they've really beaten an impressive opponent other than maybe New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
And this is going to be a pretty good measure of where they're at, of where they're going to be when they have to face a really good opponent. Don't you think that?
Yeah, Tom, you're right, because this is a bad matchup, to be honest with you, because this is the first time you're going to play another Hall of Fame type quarterback in Phillip Rivers, who can put up big numbers. I mean, he can throw you some picks as well, but it won't be the quarterbacks you've seen against San Francisco and Jacksonville, these young, inexperienced guys.
Right.
Then you're going to see a 3-headed monster at running back with our own Wisconsin Jonathan Taylor, who fumbled every now and then, but they got that kid Hines, and they have Wilkins. They just rotate those guys in there, and they're very well coached by a coach I'm sure you're familiar with, and you've covered. Their head coach is a guy. Whenever you have these head coaches that are quarterbacks, even like the Doug Peterson types, they kind of overthink how do you attack a team. But, they got one of the best offensive lines, and that's the problem we saw against Minnesota. The Dalvin Cooks. Then you see a guy like James Robinson, a running back. A lot of people didn't know, Tom. He was able to go over 100, and so was the runner Ronald Barber down at Bay. So it's about running the football and play action. That was the reason why. And remember, their top back, Marlon Mack, he's on injured reserve. And you say their defense, a very optimistic defense. They're just tough. It's a big, tough, physical defense.
Well, they have some big names on defense, including a guy the Packers know well, DeForest Buckner, who gave them all kinds of trouble last year in the two San Francisco games. They traded a first-round pick for him. And then, Darius Leonard is a really good inside linebacker. And so they've got, Justin Houston's on that defensive line. Xavier Rhodes is in the secondary now. Now, maybe Devontae Adams is licking his chops over that. But, but they've got some talent up there, and it's going to be a test. I think it'll be a real test for the offense.
Yeah, well, I really value the Quentin Nelson kid who was the guard. He was a top pick for the Colts a while back, and you think they're trying to develop this offensive line, that really leans on you. When they're all healthy, they're one of the best offensive lines. But 4-3 defenses or converted type defenses sometimes give the Packers a problem. But all the Packers have to do is just use your motion and create matchups, and you should be fine. But for some reason, if you can't run the football and they just force you to pass, that's where they force teams into doing things they don't want to do. Now, there's areas that you could exploit, especially off of play action. If Aaron Rodgers is very good at his ball handling and play action, as he's been doing all year, there will be opportunities. But if it was me, Tom, this would be one of the games that Aaron Jones would get about 10 targets. I'll motion him out and try to throw him the football. I would play him and Jamal together, a two-back set, and I would really look for those matchups with their backs.
Yeah, you might want to – this is a game where you'd like to spread them out a little bit. Yeah. But on the other hand, Jacksonville said, we're going to stop the run. They had a guy up in the box, kind of like the old Seattle defense where they would have like Cam Chancellor up in the box. And when that happens, you have to be able to still run the ball. And we'll take a look at a play in X's and O's that kind of shows what you have to do against an 8-man box. The Packers weren't very good at it, but they did have one play. I don't know if Indianapolis will do that because of the passing game. Jacksonville could say, well, that wind is so bad, we're not worried about it going over our head. Yeah. Do you think that Indianapolis can do that, or do you think they'll just rest on the really good front four they have?
I think they'll do the front four. You build off of that. If you could just rush 4 guys and drop 7, that really helps you. You don't have to blitz and expose a guy man-to-man on Devontae Adams. We talked about Xavier Rhodes. But the good thing about the Colts defense, they disguise quite a bit. So Aaron Rodgers has seen everything. But I know what the Indianapolis is going to do. They're going to take that tape from the Tampa game and try to get their linebackers to run on the outside of the weak side, bring 3 or 4 weak, and then drop off to the strong side in like a combination zone, and hopefully they can force Aaron Rodgers in some turnovers. Because they feel like that's the recipe. Make Green Bay get away from giving 33 the ball. If you can do that and make them one-dimensional, you got to take something away. But I think they'll live with if Aaron Rodgers put up like 375 and 3 touchdowns, and they only, and Aaron Jones only gets 50 yards rushing. I think they'll take that because that plays to their strength, and they feel like their offense can score more than 21 points on the Packer defense. So it'll be, if it's a shootout, they feel like they have the best defense. So if you're the Packers, you got to win the intangibles. You can't turn the ball over. You can't have a 91-yard punt return. You can't shank a punt. You have to win the special team battle because they got a lot of veterans. And we even talked about the Pittman young man, the receiver, I think from USC, and T.Y. Hilton and Pascal. Those are all veteran guys. But that's the reason why they brought in Phillip Rivers, Tom. They thought they were one quarterback away from getting to the Super Bowl. Now, I don't know if you're right about that, but it would, like you said, it would be a good test for them.
Yeah, and sort of a cut that seems to keep opening more is special teams. You saw the block punt early in the year, then there's the onside kick they didn't, and now they got this punt return touchdown that we'll look at in X's and O's, and I still can't figure out what the Packers were doing on that on that punt return. But this is a wound that's festering, and they got to fix that.
Yeah, but that could cost you the from going to the Super Bowl if you're giving up. But it's a lot of stress on your punter because he has to also kick off. So, I was willing to give him some space, but when you outkick your coverage with the wind, you still guys got to break down. And you're right, you're 7-2, but your defense really statistically is a top 10 defense, but your special teams has to be one of the worst special teams. And they got to get that fixed. When you play a fundamentally sound team like the Colts, they're looking for ways to score extra points. So, they
had a block punt and a touchdown last week. So
exactly. And, Tyler Irvin is out. I'm hopefully he can play. That really just throw things off what you want to do with your special teams. But I'm actually glad we're talking about special teams. I don't think most people talk about it enough.
No, we don't talk about it very often, and we should. Yeah. Okay.
He's not missed a kick, so that's pretty good. That's a good thing.
Right. That's been pretty important so far. All right. So let's go to the prediction. Where's the drum roll?
It's a bad matchup. It really is. I mean, anytime you can run the football and have a Hall of Fame type quarterback and the number one defense, it's just, and we talked about how this place has been a bad place for the Packers to play. So I think the Colts will win this game, like 28-24. But the Packers have to try to score 30 points to win. If they score 30 points, they have a chance of winning. If they don't, then it's just, again, it's a bad matchup. Mm-hmm. So hopefully, but just like I tell anybody when you do predictions, we don't determine the outcome. You do if you're a player. So just go out and take care of business, then everything will be fine.
All right. Great.
But go out real quick. That's the most frustration I think I've seen Matt LaFleur after a game.
Yeah, he was not happy.
Aggravated.
And then he tried to walk it back a little bit, but I think that's just because he let it out.
You can't put that stuff back in the toothpaste back in the tube. And that's what they need, though. I mean, he's pretty upset about that.
That's not acceptable. And that was, I think, his raw emotion, which he tries not to show to us. Yeah. So, no question. All right. So a couple sponsors, and then we'll move on to X's and O's.
Yep. The Jewelry Center, of course, I appreciate them. If you're looking to get married, they're the place. Pick and Save, of course. We're going to be doing a big turkey giveaway soon. We'll talk about that shortly. Ivanhoe Pub and Eatery. And, of course, my delicious Game Day Brats. Go to GameDayBrats.com. Find out where you can pick those up, especially if you're locally. And we're working it out the way you can deliver it to all 50 states. So I'm pretty excited about that. And, of course, the anti-bullying book. If you want to get this book, it's only like $10. The money goes to a pretty good cause, so I'm excited about that. And on Saturday, Tom, we have a giveaway for the first 25 families that register on nlonline.org. This Saturday, you can drive through with your mask on. You don't have to get out your car. We're just going, but you have to register, though, and we'll put the food right in your trunk or your back seat, and you can keep it moving. So I'm pretty excited. I think it starts at 10 o'clock in the morning this Saturday.
That sounds like a great deal. All right.
Yeah.
So we be sure to check out X's and O's, and also we'll be there available after the game. So be sure to check us out on LeRoy's Facebook page and JS Online and Packers News. Until next week, see ya.
Bye-bye.